The reason why college football is better than the NFL, at least in my opinion, is because of the uniqueness created by the stadiums and the atmosphere that subsequently comes from that. There's nothing like it in sports. And while you have your meccas like Bryant-Denny Stadium or the Big House, there are so many cool stadiums that just go under the radar and are truly underrated. And that's what we're going to focus on here today, starting with number 10, Schumann Stadium, Ball State. The thing that I love the most about Schumann Stadium, and having been there in person, being able to appreciate what this stadium does differently. What you'll see a lot in college football is some copycat stuff, right? I know I said the uniqueness of the stadiums is what separates it, and while that's true, you do see a lot of copycat stuff, between universities. But Ball State feels different. And you, as I'm showing you the stadium, you kind of get a feel for it's small, but what I love is this end zone. It gives you kind of like this cathedral-esque feel, and it's kind of weird to say, but it's something that I personally really love that stadiums do in their end zones. They have a unique feature that sets them apart, and those pillars really stand out to me. The stadium itself is not anything that people are going to, gawk at. It's not going to be this giant stadium that you fill with 100,000 people. It's just not what it is. But if you can appreciate it for what it is, and that is a beautiful, smaller stadium, like this end zone just gives you this really cool open feel. And I love the open concept of it. I think it does a really good job. I love that the media center is detached. It makes it feel and look like its own separate entity, like it's not a part of the stadium, which gives it that kind of allure that you're looking for. Really like Schumann Stadium. That's why it's number 10. And number 9, we're staying in Indiana. Purdue University, Ross-Ade Stadium. And I may be a little bit biased here. I'm about to marry a Purdue graduate, so there's definitely some bias here. I've been to this stadium. I think it is an underrated atmosphere. I think that the Purdue fans are awesome. But to me, what Ross-Ade Stadium does really well, and something that I find cool almost, is that they have multiple different tunnels, and the way the stadium is structured, it makes it feel super wide open. And as we go around, you'll kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But it takes what was once a U shape, and what a lot of stadiums were built as is that U shape that you're going to see as we come around the end here. And they almost made it better. They built upon it with those the bridges over top that created the tunnels underneath as we get to the, I think it's the south side of the stadium. I'm not entirely sure. But as we swing back around, you're going to see that the main stands are connected to the end zone stands with those bridges that also have extra seating in there. In my opinion, this end zone stand section it's awesome. I mean, it is in the shadow of the big board. Like you can't feel much cooler than when you're sitting right there. In general, I just think it's a really well done stadium. The lights come up over top. I don't think I grabbed any video of it, but you don't see lights like that. It is one of the coolest features in my opinion, and it's one of the unique things that Ross-Ade Stadium does. And I love the press box along the top and how it's all glass, but it's only on the one side. Makes it, gives it that cool feel, but the openness of it, I really love. We're going to take a quick pause before we get to number 8. If you're liking this video, why don't you consider giving it a like and hitting that subscribe button? It really means a lot, does a lot for this channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, let's resume back to number 8. Number 8, MM Roberts Stadium, Southern Miss. So as you're starting to see with this list, I try to do my best to find some schools and teams that just are probably underused, not talked about too much, none of the big name schools. And there's probably some nostalgia with this one. I had a Southern Miss dynasty in NCAA 14 that I just simply adored. And I grew very attached to this stadium in a weird way, and a lot of it was because of the way that the end zone was portrayed in that game. It was kind of like this brick building that just had this really cool vibe to it. And I've always just loved this stadium. And when you first saw that end zone, you kind of get a glimpse of that. And what college football 25 and 26 have even built upon is the detail in that end zone. You see the golden eagle statue right outside of the athletic building and right before the stadium. As we come back around, you'll see it here pretty soon. There it is in the middle. And I just think little details like that are really what separate it for me. I think it's one of the cooler big boards that you'll see in this game, the way that it's, structured and you can see it, and it just looks almost larger than life. But the way that the stadium overall is constructed is not, anything super special. I think that this end zone that we're looking at right now is super interesting. I don't know if I necessarily love it, but the way that it's kind of got that, triple layer, but it's not really built up. It's kind of just like on top of each other, and then there's the canopy over top. I don't know if I love that part, but I do love pretty much everything else about the stadium. I love that you can see the campus buildings in the background. It's awesome. Now, number 7, Glass Bowl, Toledo. The thing that I love about the Glass Bowl, more so than any other stadium in the country, is that it is just called the Glass Bowl. Like, that is the only name they refer to it as. Every other place that is played in the country has stadium behind it. I don't really know why, I guess, but to me, being called the Glass Bowl, it gives you that allure, right? It is a place that, just it has a special meaning to it, and I think that the structure out here, the fact that there's not really any gates, it's just, kind of looks like a castle. It's a smaller castle, but it looks like a castle nonetheless. To me, it has such a throwback feel to it. I feel like every stadium now is making renovations, trying to build up and build out, whereas the Glass Bowl was like, no, we know what we do well. It looks like it kind of just gives off the vibe of a castle a little bit. I love the press box. I think they did a really good job with it. But I love how most of the stadium is just one level. Like most of the time, I'm not a huge fan of that, but this is just so cool. And then as an added bonus, it's not, you can't see it, but they have a rocket pointed at their biggest rival, Bowling Green, just outside of the stadium. How cool is that? To me, Toledo is criminally underrated in terms of their atmosphere and the stadium setup. I think it's awesome. I think they did a really good job. It's our second MAC school, which is pretty cool. Number 6, McLean Stadium, Baylor. McLean Stadium is one of those that when you see on a football broadcast, I feel like it doesn't truly do it justice. They don't focus a ton on the stadium itself because they have the tradition where all of the students will run out on the field, normally led by Robert Griffin or somebody, else, or they'll run across the field. So they don't focus on the actual stadium, but I think they should because it is a very, very cool stadium in my opinion. And it starts with the end zone. That little seating in front of the Jumbotron to me is so cool. I love when stadiums give you kind of that open concept hill or just any setting on that one side of the stadium. But as you go around, the triple-decker nature of this stadium just kind of gives it almost a feel that it's bigger than it actually is. Like, this stadium does not seat that many people, but when you're playing in it and you're going into the end zone we just passed, it feels like a pretty goddamn big stadium. And then you have, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is such a cool seating area, right? You have the little on-ramp and off-ramp over there on the right side. Then as you go to the left, it's just more seating, and it's by the tunnel. I just think that this is such a well-built stadium. It's so unique and cool, the 3-level nature of it. You don't get a ton of stadiums that are kind of built like that. And then they got the canopy over the top that gives it this, different, I don't want to keep saying feel, but it is a different feel than a lot of other stadiums. It makes it unique. It makes it its own. And I think, it's one of my favorite stadiums to play in, especially as a road team because it is so loud. Number 5, Jones AT&T Stadium, Texas Tech. Yeah, unfortunately, we have back-to-back Big 12 stadiums, and I really didn't want to put Texas Tech on here, but I had to. And this is the reason why. This is simply my favorite end zone in the entire game, in the entire country. When I said Cathedral and Castle for some other stadiums, fully knowing that Texas Tech was coming up on the list at some point, I didn't do a great job there because this, as you see, the mountain is calling. I love when that ad gets stuck up there sometimes in replay. But, I mean, it is one of the coolest end zone buildings, I mean, in the country. Like, look at the architecture on this thing. It has like a almost old-timey train station feel to it, and those are some of the most beautiful buildings you'll see. It just is so cool. Driving into that end zone, man, and having that in the background, it is just one of the coolest feelings. And then the rest of the stadium is, I mean, nothing special, but it's nothing to scoff at either. I think that end zone alone, man, it is so cool. I think that this stadium is done really well. I do like the other end zone as well. I like how it's split up. You have the double T's in the middle on the grass patch there, and then it's split off into seating arrangements. I think it's just really cool. Great stadium, one of my favorites. Very underrated. Now number 4, Nippert Stadium, Cincinnati. I feel like Nippert gets disrespected a lot because Cincinnati was a Group of 5 school for a long time after coming out of the Big East, But I think that this stadium is really freaking cool, man. There are so many different little pieces of it that I think go unnoticed. So we're going to talk about it here. As you can see, my very favorite thing about this stadium is like the schoolhouse athletic facility thing at the end of that end zone there. And then when you turn, you get this weird modernistic, I don't even know what that thing is. I just think it's so neat to have kind of the best of both worlds in this stadium. You have your modern angle with that one corner of the end zone, but you also have your just traditionalist throwback schoolhouse thing. But whatever that is, I'm not actually entirely sure what it is, but Nippert is built into the ground, so that's why as we go around, it kind of looks like we're at ground level. When you look at the outside of the stadium, it's because it is. But that structure is just so interesting. I should figure out what that is. But then you also have this other structure on the back end. That might actually be the athletic facility, but I love the press box. I think it's the way it kind of swoops around that corner there. This is just such a cool stadium. It gets an A in my book. Now we're up to the top 3, so let's start it off with number 3, Scott Stadium, Virginia. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was not familiar with Virginia's game for as long as I've been playing college football, for as long as I've been watching college football. Virginia's just not a team that I focused on very much. Never really played much in the ACC, and even when I did, I didn't play Virginia a ton. And then the Florida State game happened this past season. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that is when I became versed in what the Virginia Cavaliers are all about and what their stadium is all about. And when you look at this side, nothing really pops up. Nothing seems super special, super extraordinary. However, when we get to the other side of the stadium, you see otherwise. This hill, there is no barrier. There is no nothing. It is open space. You pick your spot, you sit there. It is one of the coolest end zones, and I feel like I've said that quite a bit in this video, but it is one of the coolest end zones that you will see in this game, in college football. It is one of the most intimate relationships that you can have with a football team as a fan, is sitting on that hill, and I'm sure it's got a name. And I should have done my research and and looked it up before this. But we're doing stadiums, we're not doing hills. So, but that's beside the point. It is just like the way the structure is of the canopies out there. It just is so cool. And then you have the video board up top. I love the stadium. I think that it doesn't get enough credit. I think the diamonds around the letters in the end zone is a really cool touch. I know we're not talking about the field much, more the end zone design, but it's very unique. It's very cool. It's a great stadium. Now to number 2, Centennial Bank Stadium, Arkansas State. I bet you're surprised by this one. I can almost guarantee you did not see this one coming. Because why in the world would we be in Jonesboro, Arkansas, talking about the most underrated stadiums in the country? I mean, there's really one reason why, and you're looking at it. It's got a goddamn waterfall in the end zone. Are you kidding me? I don't know how many people know this. In fact, I didn't know that Centennial Bank Stadium had an active waterfall in it. I tell you, it was maybe one of the deep dive videos from last year in College Football 25. I mean, it's a pretty neat stadium in it of itself. The football building at the one end zone right there is pretty neat. But to me, the entire selling point of this stadium is this end zone with the two waterfalls, the Centennial Bank Stadium granite rock formation on either side, and then the seating right there. Man, this is one of the most unique, one of the coolest, sick as you know what stadiums in college football. The press box on that side that we just passed is so well done. It's built right in there perfectly. I think that this is... I was not familiar with Arkansas State's game, kind of like Virginia. I never really played here. I was never, super into the Sun Belt outside of that one, beside that Southern Miss season. And I think the coolest part we haven't even seen yet. So yes, the waterfall is really cool, but when you score a touchdown, check this out. They've got a fountain. Are you kidding me? This is so cool. It's awesome, but it's not good enough to be number one because that goes to Bobby Dodd Stadium, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was my first dynasty in college football 25, and I absolutely fell in love with Bobby Dodd Stadium. And there are a couple of different reasons and factors that I guess pushed me to fall in love with this stadium, but the main one is that you can see Atlanta in the background. How cool is that? And this is the only video that I went clockwise in. Every other one I did counterclockwise. Don't ask me why. It just happened that way. But they literally have a cutout in the stadium so you can see downtown. How cool is that? This one, so I made a list of the top 12 stadiums in college football 26. This one almost made that list. That is how much I love it. I think it's so underrated. I think that the two end zones are drastically different from each other, but they're also uniquely sick. I'm running out of descriptor words to talk about these stadiums because I love it. It's amazing. It really is. It's just awesome. When it comes down to it, like, this is a dream. You have the double-decker stadium aspect of it, but you also have that kind of old-school vibe where you got the cutout, you've got the different end zones that don't mirror each other. They're actually almost opposites, and I think they did a fantastic job with this stadium, and that's why it is number one. And there you have it, the top 10 underrated stadiums in college football 26. If there are any you think I missed, please let me know in the comment section below, because I'm always looking for new stadiums to play in. You can only play in so many when you're playing in a dynasty mode. You play in the same conference. So please let me know down in the comment section, and give me your top 10 list. Why don't you show me what you have? Try to not say any of the big names, the big boys, because we all know how good those stadiums are. Why don't you dig deep and give me some really underrated ones. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you on the flip. See ya.